You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Talkin Ducks is presented by Pacific Clear Vision Institute and Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lots to get to on this episode of Talkin Ducks. An easy win for Oregon. Anthony Brown continues to shine. Also, some young running backs showing out. And then the Oregon-Ohio State controversy. How did the Ducks rank lower than a team they went on the road and beat? And then finally, huge game this week. It's Washington week as the Ducks head up north to Seattle. But let's go ahead and get to our opening drive, brought to you by Les Schwab Tire Centers, where they've been doing the right thing since 1952. And let's bring in the gang, the Oregonians Aaron Fentress, Joey Harrington, and Anthony Newman all here. And let's start with you here, Joey. An easy win for Oregon. This is kind of what people were hoping for over the first couple of games this season, but clearly the most dominant that Oregon has looked in a matchup so far this season.
You're starting to see, so the pieces come together, right? Like there's this expectation after the Ohio State game that Oregon was just going to explode and it was just going to be this instantaneous perfection. But what I think a lot of people didn't quite understand is how many pieces were actually missing. How many different offensive line combinations we've had since the start of the season. How many guys we were missing on defense. How many offensive coordinators we were missing against Stanford. I mean, this is a team that has been in flux. And frankly, I think you have to give them credit for being at this point, at 7-1, sitting here in the discussion. And you're right, it's taken a lot longer than I think people wanted to see. But I think you are starting to see that the team come together. You're starting to see guys get healthy. You're starting to see coordinators show up again. You're starting to see a solidified offensive line, some depth in the backfield. And you're starting to see Anthony Brown play really consistent football. I mean, we can't overlook the fact that he's leading the conference in total offense since the Stanford loss, right? We're not talking about prior to the Stanford loss because we all knew what the issues were coming into that game and after that game. But since that point, he has been arguably the best quarterback in the conference, leading in total offense, leading in completion percentage. He's doing the things that that Oregon needs him to do to win games, and they're finally starting to put pieces together.
Aaron, does it really seem like this team is starting to turn a corner? I mean, this is when you want to play your best football as you get towards the final part of the season, but did you get that sense watching this win over Colorado that it seems like this team is maturing and developing that consistency they didn't have at the first part of the season?
It's definitely a positive sign, and it's about time they smoke someone they should smoke. This is not a very good Colorado team. Plus, they only give up 25 points a game, Colorado. That's factored in after the 52 points they gave up. So this was a team that has solid defense that you dropped 52 on, and I think that's what Oregon needed to do finally. So yes, it is a sign that they have gotten better. It's a sign that maybe what we saw earlier in the season against Stony Brook in the first half or against Arizona through three quarters, that they've moved past that, or even Cal for that matter. They've moved past that, and now they're in a position where they feel like they're demonstrating they can blow out weak teams, but still, the UCLA game was just a couple weeks ago. That's a mediocre team. They barely won. There's still some question marks there. But like Joey said, everything that you were looking at through these mediocre wins is starting to get better, especially Anthony Brown.
And Anthony, you and I are normally the rays of sunshine on this show, the glass half full. But
come on.
Well, okay, Joey too. Joey too. Aaron, we know where you stand here. Anthony, yes, Oregon scores 52 points, but if there is something to potentially correct from this game, this is a Colorado team that struggled on offense. Oregon gives up 29 points. Which of these two numbers to you is the biggest story? The 52 points that you score or the 29 points that you gave up?
Well, first of all, Aaron has to always say, but it drives me just anyway.
Just call me Mr. Caveat.
Okay. Here's the deal. When the Buffaloes, they're going to score some points. They had a young quarterback in there that finally played well.
The offense is horrible.
Well, but still, you got to look at who was in the game for Oregon. The injuries and then backup players, and what Oregon had to deal with on defense. And here's an issue. I understand this. Right now, Oregon, I think, is ranked 109th in the country in total defense. So there is a struggle there. But again, let's talk about, okay, when the team needs to show up, they show up. Bottom line, they got the win. Okay, yeah, they gave up some points. I think there were some miscues with the defense. I know in the back end area, I saw some guys making some mistakes. Guys left wide open. those are young guys coming in trying to understand the defense live action. So, yeah, those 29 points, whatever those points were, it is. But when you talk about an offense that puts up 52 points and you have a young running back who runs wild, that's a good sign.
I'm waiting for Aaron to come in here.
15 of the points came in the fourth quarter, right? It was like 41-14 going into the fourth quarter. So really, to be fair, those points are meaningless. Like, it doesn't matter that they gave those up in terms of speaking to the quality of the performance. So I'm with Anthony on that. It's, it is what it is.
Wait, hold on.
I don't like this whole Aaron and Anthony agreeing.
Yeah.
Hey man, the last time we disagreed, Anthony was outside my house stalking me, so I was like, I better straighten up before,
All right, let's go ahead and get to our Parr Lumber post-game sound, brought to you by Parr Lumber. Go where the builders go. Here's head coach Mario Cristobal on whether or not this was a statement win for Oregon.
Well, I think we showed that when we were playing our starters, and when we play and execute, yeah, we're a really good football team. Can be a really good football team. And I think what makes us good is that we know we can get a lot better. That's the best way to put it. It's a hungry, driven team. We did some really good things today, some other things that we can do better. I'm not too concerned about, that term style points. We want to play our guys. We want to get our guys ready to go down this home stretch and have them get reps, log reps, get experience playing. So when they do have to play in critical parts of games down the line, that they're ready to play. That was the most important thing. And we did that and still won a game, comfortably. So I think it speaks strongly about us. We have certainly big goals and expectations, but it all starts with 1-0, and we're right back on that process.
Joey, there you have it. Coach Cristobal, this team not really too concerned about style points, but it does seem like they are concerned about just playing better week after week, and here it is. They're trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I think you made a great point about getting guys meaningful reps, right? Because this is a team that has had a lot of injuries. They had injuries from the very start of the season. They've had injuries at just about every position. And they are going to need young players to step in and fill roles over the next month, because this is going to be a tough stretch, right? This isn't just going to be a walk into the playoff or walk into the Pac-12 championship kind of thing. This is going to be a tough 3-4 week stretch where they're going to need guys to continue to play well. And so, yeah, I think people are putting the cart ahead of the horse in terms of trying to figure out whether or not we're going to match up with so-and-so and how do we stack up in head-to-head and how the playoff picture is going to look. Look, week to week, all that stuff will work itself out. And the way it works itself out is the way that Coach Cristobal said, which is having young guys get meaningful reps so that when the time comes and they are needed to step in and play a meaningful role, they're ready to do so. And I think you're seeing the team start to do that. It's later in the season than people had hoped, but I think you're starting to see it.
All right, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Pac-12's top quarterback in the month of October. Yeah, some odds and boo birds going to have to eat some humble pie when we come back on Talkin Ducks.
Parr Lumber is committed to providing the best customer service. We provide personal service. We're problem solvers. We're positive and courteous. We're competent and professional. We are committed to delivering exceptional service every time. We're appreciative and we care. We are Parr Lumber.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires, reminding you that changing seasons can mean changing road conditions. Introducing the brand new Backcountry AT2 for a quieter ride with improved performance in wet conditions. Because when it comes to keeping your family safe, the right tires help you feel prepared for anything. Seriously, anything. Now save up to $130 when you buy Quatrac tires with financing. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Being able to get LASIK gave me the opportunity to not worry about putting contacts in every day, and just kind of made my life a little easier. Pacific Clear Vision Institute was just incredible through my entire experience. The staff was very welcoming. Dr. Embody, he really just kind of laid it out and made me feel comfortable and gave me confidence to know that I was in good hands. I would definitely recommend Pacific Clear Vision Institute for any sort of laser eye surgery.
Since 1961, Comfort Flow Heating has provided service to more than 50,000 homes and businesses in the Willamette Valley. While the technology and techniques in our industry have changed, our founding principles have remained the same: to provide exceptional service in all areas of our business and for our customers to enjoy their products from us and be comfortable for years to come.
From all of us at Comfort Flow, thank you for choosing us.
You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Welcome back. It's time for a Thing of Beauty, presented by Dr. Lee B. Daniel and Aesthetic Plastic Surgery. Live beautiful.
Brown with pressure on his ankles. He throws down the seam, caught, and a touchdown. It's Troy Franklin, the first touchdown of the true freshman's career. Good for 28 yards.
Aaron Fentress, how about that? Anthony Brown, defender dangling all over him, slings the pass down the field to Franklin for the touchdown, and that's exactly what I think fans and everyone was clamoring for from Anthony Brown. He's making more of these plays at a consistent pace, and this was a career day for him. I mean, really, his best performance as an Oregon Duck, and you see how dominant Oregon can be when Anthony Brown's playing at a high level.
First of all, I kept hearing for 2 months that Anthony Brown couldn't throw the ball past 25 yards or past 20 yards. He threw that one 35 yards in the air with a dude hanging off his leg. I mean, that was a pretty impressive throw by him. But no, his development within this offense, becoming more consistent, has opened everything up. Because before, when the running game has never really been dominant, it's just been good. When it's been good, but he's been mediocre, it just slows things down. They're not moving the chains. They're not threatening teams in a variety of different ways, especially pushing the ball downfield. But now they're opening it up more. They're going downfield. They're moving the chains. They're stretching out defenses. And it's just changed the dynamic of the offense completely. I think it's pretty obvious to this point that he has grown a lot these past few weeks. And I'm not hearing much chirping anymore about Ty Thompson, especially after he threw that pick. Not to pick on him for throwing the pick. W used the word pick there. But he showed right there on that play he wasn't ready, because that wasn't a very difficult read. Ty Thompson's not ready, as we've said before. Anthony Brown's the guy, and he's growing right before our eyes.
And Joey, we'll get more of your thoughts as far as what's changed with Anthony Brown here in just a moment. But Anthony, I want to go back to you, because this is a situation where your quarterback probably had his worst performance of the season against Stanford. And look at how he's responded. He's led the conference in passing yards and completion percentage in the entire month of October, when Oregon has won some big-time games to create that separation. What does that say about what Anthony Brown has done to really take charge moving forward?
Well, he's that football player that you want on your team, because he's all about the next play, the next game, and that's really important for football players to understand, because if they're dwelling on the past, then it will take them down. So he's moving forward. And I like his demeanor. He doesn't get real high. He doesn't get real low. He's kind of even keeled. Sometimes he's kind of hard to read when you watch his appearance and how he acts. But to go back in there and just throw the ball over the place. Now, let's talk about the supporting cast too, guys. The offensive linemen, okay, which guys, there's a bunch of injuries on offensive linemen. So you guys moving all around, gave him time to throw the football. Running backs picked up the linebackers blitzing, and the receivers, he's got a ton of receivers to throw the ball to, and those guys are making some great catches. So the supporting cast is helping him out also.
All right, it's time to put things into focus, brought to you by Pacific Clear Vision Institute, the official eye doctors and eye surgeons of the Oregon Ducks. Here's Anthony Brown on what's changed for him recently.
Efficiency, consistency, and just making the right reads all around the board. And it came from a lot of things, but just staying in the groove and continuing to do what I do throughout the week, continuing my process on watching extra film and doing extra things, and just continuing that.
All right, so Joey, Anthony Brown, clearly, you don't want to maybe say a metamorphosis over the last couple of weeks, but he's doing something differently out there. The results prove that. What are you seeing from Anthony Brown that has led to so much success and consistency for him?
It's always been about quick decision-making and accuracy, especially with those mid-range throws, right? We talked about it. Aaron just said it a minute ago. Those are the throws that keep drives moving. Those are the throws that keep the offense on the field. And it's interesting because in his comments there, he didn't have this giant revelation. He did a little bit more work, did a little bit more studying, like Anthony said, moved to the next play, just kept grinding, just kept doing the things that he knows what to do, and put the things he does in practice into effect in the games. And I don't know. I mean, there's not like this magic switch. There's not this magic, potion that he's come up with. He's simply just made more plays. And I think that, look, I'm going to go back to the Boo Birds a little bit. Whether or not you agree with it, whether or not you think that he's your guy, it's time to move on. Right? It's time to turn the page. When I heard, because I wasn't at the game, I'm still crutching around, don't really feel like crutching up and down the steps at Autzen quite yet. But when I heard boos coming out on an incompletion right before the end of the first half, he was 15 for 19 for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. That is an incredible first half of football. And if you are booing him after that for 1 incompletion, it's not an issue on him. It's an issue on you. It's your inability to recognize what he has done to help this team get better, recognize the work that he has put in, recognize what the sacrifices he has made for this team, and how he has turned that negative against Stanford into a positive this month. And nobody's ever said he's perfect, right? But he is the guy that helps this team win right now. So you know what? Get on board, because he's the guy. He's the guy for the coaching staff. He's the guy for the current teammates. He's the guy for the former players. He's the guy for all the analysts out there. And you know what? He's showing it and has done so ever since that Stanford loss. So you know what? Good on you, Anthony, and keep playing like you are.
Yeah, I think every single player in that locker room loves the fact that their quarterback bounced back the way that he did. And I think that speaks volumes about his experience and about his composure to have a bad game like he did against Stanford and then to rattle off these wins playing the way that he's playing. That really sets up Oregon well as they get set for the meat of their schedule. Some very difficult matchups coming up as well. All right, don't go anywhere. When we come back, another huge day for Travis Dye, also getting some help from the Young Bucks in the backfield. We'll talk more about that when we come back on Talkin Ducks.
Sure glad we went to Les Schwab.
I'm glad the baby's still happy.
Well, I'm just glad that along with tires, Les Schwab also does brakes, alignment, and a bunch of other safety services. I mean, if we had gone to a cheap tire store instead, I'd be a doggone wreck.
My thoughts exactly.
Les Schwab Tires. Proud to be ranked #1 in overall customer satisfaction for aftermarket tire replacement by J.D. Power 2 years in a row.
Eugene Airport is a proud part of what makes Western Oregon such a unique place to be. With nonstop routes that connect to hundreds of destinations, fly local, fly EUG.
In the heart of the South Willamette Valley, just 12 miles southwest of Eugene, distinctive handcrafted wines are waiting for you at Sylvan Ridge Winery. Sylvan Ridge Wines bring unassuming, casual elegance to your homes, tables, and celebrations, and are best paired with the mainstays of a social gathering: good food, fond friends, and lively conversation. Discover our wines by visiting our tasting room. For a list of events or to plan your visit, go to sylvanridge.com. Proud partners of the Oregon Ducks.
Parr Lumber is committed to providing the best customer service. We provide personal service. We're problem solvers. We're positive and courteous. We're competent and professional. We are committed to delivering exceptional service every time. We're appreciative and we care. We are Parr Lumber.
You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Let's check out our solid stop, brought to you by Milan Stoneworks, bringing you the finest stoneworks in the Northwest. Yeah, let's get a receiver, laying the lumber. Johnny Johnson III, how about the pancake block right here? Hey, wideouts love to eat also. And Anthony, I know that's your biggest fear as a former defensive back, is a big, strong, aggressive receiver coming after you. trying to take your plate. What'd you think about that block for Johnny Johnson III? And obviously, along with that tough play, a huge day for Travis Dye yet again.
Well, it looks like me doing it to Aaron, just taking him and just pancake him into the ground, okay, if I was a receiver. And here's another thing. That has never been done to me as a DB. Trust me. I've never been pancaked. That's not going to happen, okay? First of all, I'm too big of a DB. But when you see
look at the painting behind you.
when you see the receivers block downfield for the running back, that is so great. I mean, that's being a player that it's all about his team. It's all about his teammates. It's not about him. Because receivers, Aaron, they want to be fancy. They want to be pretty, catch touchdowns, dance in the end zone. But when you get your nose dirty and you put your face mask in the helmet of a defensive back that's bigger than you and you pancake him, let's give him all kinds of props. That's a nice job by all the receivers. They block well downfield.
Anthony,
I know
two
you got
former
something against
receivers.
It's great for us to dance in the end zone. I know you wish you had the chance to do it for the most part. And listen, DBs are DBs because they can't catch. We know the rule with that. All right, Aaron, obviously you've got some terrific play. Real quick, just a thought on what we're seeing from this receiving core, because we mentioned the help around Anthony Brown, but it really seems like the receivers are shining over the last couple of weeks.
First of all, I think Giant Johnson is frustrated because he's not getting the rock. He only had 3 catches in that game. So he's like, I'm about to take it out on somebody. You're in my way. I'm taking it out on you. But we talked about this a little bit last week. Williams, man. I mean, Williams has taken, to me, he's taken the receiving core to another level. And his emergence coincides with the better play from Brown, because now he's got a big, fast, athletic receiver out there who's making plays, who's dynamic. So he's just been huge. And of course, the rest of the smaller guys are running around him, playing off of him, and catching passes as well.
Real quick, Joey, a thought on Travis Dye. We've seen ever since he's been the featured back, he really hasn't had a bad game. Obviously, the yardage against UCLA wasn't great, but he's got 4 consecutive carries for 4 touchdowns in a row. But what do you like about Dye and what we've been seeing now that he's had a chance to be that lead bell cow?
What I love is the fact that he hasn't changed his attitude. He hasn't changed the way that he approaches the game, right? Whenever you saw him in the game with CJ Verdell, it's full speed. It's what can I do to help this team? Now that CJ's out and he is the guy, put it on my shoulders. We saw it that first week after CJ's injury. I think he touched the ball, I'm going to make a guess, 7 of the first 10 plays of that game, right? Throwing it to him, handing it off. And now that they're starting to get some of the younger running backs involved, he hasn't changed the way he approaches things. He still is the exact same guy, no matter what role you put him in. Want me to be a complimentary back? Great. You want me to be the lead guy? Great. There's no size issue. There's no strength issue. There's no ego issue. He is the type of guy that you need to have on your team, that you want to have on your team, because he is truly selfless, and frankly, he can do just about anything.
You mentioned the younger backs helping out. Let's go ahead and hear from Byron Cardwell after his big day and first touchdown as a Duck.
Oh man, it was a dream come true. Just something I've always prayed about and just seen myself doing, and finally get the opportunity. Just thankful for the coaching staff and O-line up front, and thankful for the Lord just for making everything perfect for me.
Aaron, huge day for Cardwell, almost stole the show, and this is something that you were pointing out. You were very interested to see what would we see from these young running backs now that they were given more of an opportunity. Do you like what you're seeing so far?
Absolutely. I've been waiting to see these guys emerge, and not just in situations where there's a wide hole and they just burst through it. I mean, any running back can do that. I want to see some dynamic play, and I think Seven McGee clearly is going to be the next smaller back who can make people miss in space. But the guy who impressed me the most was Cardwell, because he's 6 foot 210. We've seen some big backs at Oregon, but his feet, man, he's got quick feet. He was getting the whole stuttering those feet and making guys miss. We haven't seen very many big backs at Oregon who make dudes miss like that, at least not in the past. I mean, probably since Stewart, right? Freeman wasn't really a guy who made people miss in space. Stewart did. This guy could be another back along those lines. Big, fast, and he'll make you miss in space.
And Anthony, real quickly, this is what we're excited about, because Oregon was spoiled at the running back position over the last, 20 years, it felt like. And over the last couple of years, yes, Dye and CJ Verdell have been fantastic, but we haven't quite seen that production at the level of a Royce Freeman, a Jonathan Stewart, Jeremiah Johnson, all those unbelievable backs that Oregon has had. Now you get a chance to get some fresh talent in there. How excited are you about the future of the running back position for Oregon, considering Dye's a junior and what we saw from Cardwell and Seven McGee?
Well, I'm very excited because, again, look at the offensive line that's in front of them. There's a bunch of guys that are beat up. I mean, you got guys that are showing up on offensive line that haven't played before. And that shows how good these running backs are. You know, there might not be a hole, but they make a hole. They find a hole, and they can break those tackles. Yards after contact, that's huge. Catching the ball out of the backfield. You're talking about a lot of different types of backs in the backfield, and that's hard to defend because you got a big back, you got a quick back, you got a back who can catch out of the backfield, you got a back who can pick up linebackers who are blitzing. Man, that's hard to deal with.
Well, don't go anywhere. When we come back, how in the world is Oregon ranked behind Ohio State when the Ducks go to Columbus and knock off the Buckeyes? We'll try to make some sense of what the playoff rankings might be when we come back on Talkin Ducks.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires, reminding you that changing seasons can mean changing road conditions. Introducing the brand new Backcountry AT2 for a quieter ride with improved performance in wet conditions. Because when it comes to keeping your family safe, the right tires help you feel prepared for anything. Seriously, anything. Now save up to $130 when you buy Quadtrac tires with financing. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Being able to get LASIK gave me the opportunity to not worry about putting contacts in every day, and just kind of made my life a little easier. Pacific Clear Vision Institute was just incredible through my entire experience. The staff was very welcoming. Dr. Embody, he really just kind of laid it out and made me feel comfortable and gave me confidence to know that I was in good hands. I would definitely recommend Pacific Clear Vision Institute for any sort of laser eye surgery.
You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Welcome back. Let's get to the hot topic, brought to you by Comfort Flow Heating, the HVAC industry leader in Western Oregon since 1961. Well, the Ducks move up to number 7 overall in the AP poll. However, Ohio State, who Oregon went to Columbus and beat on their own turf, the most difficult non-conference victory of the entire college football season slate, the Ducks are still ranked behind them as Ohio State is 6. Now, we obviously do this show before the first college football playoff rankings come out, so something could change. But Joey, let's begin with you. How do you feel about this if you're Oregon? Are you concerned that you took the chance to roll the dice to play a very difficult non-conference game, and you go and do what you're supposed to do? You go and beat Ohio State on their turf, yet you still aren't ranked ahead of them. Why? Explain it to me.
Explain it to you. Well, for me, it's kind of like recruiting. And until you get to the end or until you step foot on the field, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
It doesn't.
Who cares?
He's right.
Nobody's playing a playoff game on November 1st. Doesn't matter. Who cares? It all sorts itself out. Ohio State still has to play, Michigan State, Michigan, Oklahoma still has to play Baylor and Oklahoma State and some Iowa State. I mean, everybody's got games to play. I mean, we've still got a month of football left. You know, if we're going to talk about it specifically, it doesn't surprise me. This has happened plenty of times in history. It happened, let's go back, 25 years when Notre Dame beat Charlie Ward in Florida State, right? And all of a sudden, Notre Dame lost the next week to Boston College, and Florida State jumps on top, right? So it's the discussion of who won head-to-head, or is somebody's loss worse? And they decided that Notre Dame's loss to Boston College was worse than Florida State's loss to Notre Dame. And so Florida State played for the national championship. Like, that's just one example of that exact scenario that has happened for decades through college football. It's not do I agree with it right now? No, I don't. I think Ohio State's win against Penn State is probably, I don't agree with it right now, but I'm not really worried about it either. Like, there's so much football left to play. Just win. Just go win, and it's all going to take care of itself.
Aaron, it seems like with Ohio State being ahead of Oregon, there's more of an emphasis on how have you looked throughout the entire season when you're comparing resume A versus resume B versus, oh, by the way, you beat this team head-to-head. It really is sending a bit of a mixed message. I mean, how do you sort out the reasoning that Oregon is below a team they went on the road to go beat?
Okay, how much time you got?
So
listen,
for you, Aaron, we can give you 3 minutes.
I had an AP vote for 2 years. And so I challenge everybody to go out there and for an entire season rank 25 teams every single week, and you'll get yourself twisted into pretzel if you start focusing merely on head-to-head. What's happening is there are voters out there who have Oregon 4, 5, 6 spots below Ohio State. So those points are adding up in strength of Ohio State because Oregon struggled with Arizona, struggled with Cal, lost to Stanford. The UCLA win up here was big, but to the rest of the country, it's like, they beat a mediocre UCLA team by 3 points. These things matter. No one's sitting there with Oregon and Ohio State together and going, I'm going to put Oregon ahead of them. It's because it's spread out on some ballots because that loss to Stanford was so bad. Let's go back to 2014 since Joey brought up a history lesson. In 2014, the Ducks were 2 in the country. Arizona was unranked. Arizona beat Oregon at Autzen, and Arizona jumped into like 12, and Oregon dropped to like 14. The next week, Arizona lost to USC, and guess what? Oregon went ahead of Arizona and stayed ahead of Arizona for the rest of the season. So it's happened in favor of Oregon as well. The bottom line is it's 63 people voting on 25 teams. No one's fixated on those 2 teams but the people in the state of Oregon. They're looking at everyone else. And you're not going to automatically have Oregon ahead of Ohio State if you think Oregon's not better than 5 or 6 teams behind Ohio State, that you think Ohio State's better than those teams because of what happened in September. It's a totality of everything that gets thrown into a pot and spits out a ranking. So you can't look at it myopically through just the vision of an Oregon fan and think of it big picture-wise, which is what voters do.
Fine, Anthony, I'll take off
Done.
my green and yellow shades that Aaron is clamoring that I remove here. And let's look at this then. Okay, I get it. AP voting is completely different. You're trying to give points to teams 1 through 25, whatever, and they have to pass the interview segment. When it comes to the playoffs, if you get to a situation where it's Oregon and Ohio State as the last team in, do you see this committee giving Oregon the edge over Ohio State because they won that head-to-head? Or will they still look at their resume and say, hey, Oregon had the worst loss. We don't care that they beat Ohio State. We're going with Ohio State.
Well, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what they're going to think either. I mean, I have no clue. And it should be real simple. I mean, seriously, what Aaron was talking about, all that, I was lost, okay? It should be real simple. If me and Aaron get in the ring and I knock Aaron out, okay, there's no way that he's going to be ranked higher than me because I knocked Aaron out. Oregon beat Ohio State, period, end of story, head to head. Now, as a football player, we don't think about that stuff. It's all about the next game. It's all about winning our football games because we can't control that. So we don't worry about anything you can't control. If it's going to rain tomorrow, I'm not going to worry about it. I got to deal with it. But it's odd, head to head, and now you lose, but yet you're ranked higher than that team. I'm lost.
Go look at Ohio State's scores. They blast people. And plus, here's one other thing before we go to Joey. You got to remember that the voters had Ohio State ahead to begin with. So when Oregon beat them, that gave Oregon credit. But when Oregon lost to Stanford, that told some of those voters, that's exactly who we thought Oregon was. And so it shifted. Now Oregon has to climb back up. But at the end of the day, and Joey's going to agree with this 100%, it doesn't freaking matter. Win out. In 2019, Duck fans were freaking out about the playoff seeding, and what Oregon go do? Lost to Arizona State. Just don't worry about it. Think about it at the end of the season. That's when it matters.
Okay.
One quick word, Joey.
Quick word. In the history of the college football playoff, there have been 21 one-loss conference champions that have had the opportunity to get in. 18 of those one-loss conference champions have made it into the playoff. One year, there were 2 years when it didn't happen, 2014 and 2017. One of those years, there were 3 undefeated Power 5 conference champions, and only one team with one loss got in. The other year, there were 5 one-loss conference champions or co-champs, and so 2 teams didn't get in. Like, this stuff plays itself out. Like, there's so much football left to be played, and like we said, Ohio State, games against Penn State, Michigan, the Big Ten championship game. There's so many more opportunities where this conversation is completely moot in 3 weeks, but it's all solved by just winning. Just win.
Just win, baby.
Matters to me, Aaron. I'm going to try and make a conversation about it right now. All right, don't go anywhere. We're going to break down the Pac-12. More chaos, especially in the North. Oregon State, Stanford, they're losing. The Ducks find themselves lone position at the top of the Pac-12 North. We'll break it down when we come back on Talkin Ducks.
Stories tell us that great leaders are anointed at birth, chosen by the hand of fate. But those are just stories.
Parr Lumber is committed to providing the best customer service. We provide personal service. We're problem solvers. We're positive and courteous. We're competent and professional. We are committed to delivering exceptional service every time. We're appreciative and we care. We are Parr Lumber.
Sure glad we went to Les Schwab.
I'm glad the baby's still happy.
Well, I'm just glad that along with tires, Les Schwab also does brakes, alignment, and a bunch of other safety services. I mean, if we'd gone to a cheap tire store instead, I'd be a doggone wreck.
My thoughts exactly.
Les Schwab Tires, proud to be ranked #1 in overall customer satisfaction for aftermarket tire replacement by J.D. Power 2 years in a row.
Sometimes leadership is scary. But so is regret.
You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. All right, put your tray tables up and let's fly around the Pac-12, courtesy of Eugene Airport. Fly easy, fly EUG, and Aaron. Chaos, more chaos in the Pac-12 this past weekend. Down go the Beavers, down go the Cardinal. Utah wins. Now it feels like every team outside of Oregon has at least 2 or 3 losses in this conference. What do you make about everything that's happening? Listen, we love parity, but for an Oregon fan, maybe you don't love what happened in the conference this past weekend.
I feel like if I had taken the money line on every game this year and taken the dog and put $1,000 on it, I'd be retired right now because there's just no rhyme or reason about this conference. But there's a couple of things that went down that could potentially hurt Oregon in this whole playoff scenario. If you're a Duck fan, you want to finish with a bang. You want to finish strong to give the committee something to go, wow, look at that. Look what Oregon did. So having Oregon State lose, not good, especially since they lost to Cal. And then having Arizona State lose. Who did Arizona State lost to? Sorry, Washington State.
Arizona State lost to Washington State at home.
I know, so that's your potential Pac-12 championship opponent. Ideally, you'd beat a strong Utah team, which beat UCLA, which hurts that win for you, but at least it makes Utah stronger. But if you beat Utah and then you beat Arizona State in the Pac-12 title game, that looks better than a week ago than it will now because of what Arizona State's doing. You could end up playing Utah a second time, and if they're mediocre, then you beat a mediocre team twice with Oregon State in between. Like, it's just not good optics for what Oregon needs moving forward, especially when you look at the schedule that Ohio State has with Michigan, Michigan State, and then, maybe a mediocre Iowa team in the Big Ten title game.
So you look at the last 4 games here, Joey. You're at Washington, you're home against Washington State, at Utah, home against Oregon State. Of those 4 games, now that we've had these results the past weekend, which game concerns you the most for Oregon? Which one has you the most worried about Oregon trying to get through that and go undefeated over their final 4 games?
All of them. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I mean, I don't want to, of course, it's now going to, I don't want to say, I don't want to vocalize that the Washington game worries me the least, because then, of course, the Washington game is going to be the one that screws everything up. But if I'm looking at those 4 games, I look at Washington State, Utah, and Oregon State and think, God, Washington State is always, they're either top of the top or bottom of the bottom, and they always seem to be at the top against Oregon. Utah is never a fun place to play. Going on the road to play a Utah team that has been improving, the way they look this week. And then Oregon State, the way they've been improving with Jonathan Smith. I don't like any of those 3 games unless I continue to see the Oregon team that I saw against Colorado, right? That's my comparison point, is what I'm using as my barometer on what would be a good game or what would make the game difficult is what I've seen from Oregon in 6 games this year. If what we saw, if the Oregon team that shows up the next 4 weeks is the Oregon team that showed up against Colorado, then I think we should be, sitting pretty at the end of the season. But there's a lot of things that go into that, and like I said last segment, there's a lot of football left to be played, and all of those games make me nervous for a different reason.
Anthony, any game that stands out to you in particular, the Final 4?
The Utah game, going to Utah, that's a tough place to play. It's going to be cold, and the kids are hyped up with no clothes on out there, having a good time. It's crazy. But like Joey said, if Oregon plays the way we know how they can play, and we've seen it, if they're consistent, then I don't think there's going to be a problem with any team.
Let the world know that the home field advantage for the Utah Utes are the students not wearing enough garments, apparently, in the crowd. Aaron, you said it before, Oregon can win or lose all of these games here. Which one to you do you think, maybe not the most difficult, but is a lot tougher than I think people are anticipating?
Yeah, based on what we've seen the last couple of weeks, I'd be shocked if Oregon lost to Washington and Washington State. I think Oregon State is leaning more towards Oregon than I thought a couple of weeks ago. Utah is the one that I think scares me the most by far, for all the reasons everyone has said. But, Washington, I mean, they play good defense, so you never really know. But if Oregon is getting what they've gotten the last couple of weeks out of Anthony Brown, it just changes everything. Like, it just makes them a more complete team. It helps the defense. We even talked about that earlier, how much it just helps the defense that you're out there moving the ball and putting up points. So for me, it's Utah. But if Oregon's playing the way they're playing, they shouldn't lose the rest of the season. It would be an upset.
And we'll see if Oregon gets even healthier. Alex Forsyth still out with those back spasms. You never know the impact he has if he comes back onto that offensive line. All right, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll talk about some recruiting, also some excellence off the field, some Conference Scholar Athlete of the Year awards to hand out for the Ducks. You're watching Talkin Ducks. You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. It's time for some excellence off the field, presented by Ferguson Wellman. Ferguson Wellman, taking a disciplined approach to investing, and congratulations to Matt Wisner of the Oregon men's cross country team, named one of the 2 Pac-12 Scholar Athletes of the Year. Wisner, who began his college career at Duke, is a journalism graduate student at Oregon with a 3.84 GPA. So go Ducks and keep hitting those books. All right, we're going to change it up a little bit with the recruiting. We'll catch up with Matt Preem next week, but Oregon is getting another tool to aid in the recruiting, and that is a brand new indoor practice facility for the Ducks. That's right, the Mo Center, getting a little bit of an upgrade, you could say, for Oregon. Brand new state-of-the-art facility will be completed in 2024 as planned for the Ducks. And Joey and Anthony, let's start with you guys. I know you're like me. You come back to campus with your old college sweatshirt on there. We've got the duck busting through the O, expecting to see a lot of familiar sights, and everything changes every 2 or 3 years. Now, it's great, it's shiny, it's new, but what do you make about just the facilities and where Oregon's at? I mean, it's been unbelievable, everything we've seen, Joey, transpire on campus over the last 20 years.
I honestly don't even recognize it anymore. I mean, it's and it's so fun. I'm trying to figure out, like, is the Mashofsky just going to become like a permanent beer garden? Is that like how this is all going to shift? Is like they needed more beer revenue from the games, and so they're just going to move that purely and bring in like, ooh, here we go. We're going like Ninkasi or Hot Valley. Like bring in like a microbrew from Eugene and then put that in there. Is that kind of how it's working? Like I don't know what they're.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I don't even know what to say. I mean, it's the facilities that they have are already so over the top. I mean, I'm just going to sit and wait and see what shows up, and then just probably here's what I'm going to say, and I haven't even seen it yet. That's the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my entire life. There we go.
Anthony, quick thought.
Hey, well, all we had is a parking lot, and we had to cross the street. We had to cross the street and not get hit by cars.
Uphill both ways, right? Yeah. Uphill both ways.
To practice on the practice field. So I'm just, it's great for recruiting. Okay, it's great for people to come see, and it's great for the players to have somewhere nice to practice in, and But I'm just envious. I wish I was born a little later so I can, appreciate all that stuff and play in all that stuff. But it's fun to see the kids have something like that they can know that, hey, this is the University of Oregon's. We have the best facilities in the world. Go Ducks.
All right, stick around. When we come back, we'll talk more about this matchup against Washington and also have a toast to the dominance the Ducks have had over the Dogs over the last 15-plus years as we finish things up on this edition of Talkin Ducks.
Eugene Airport is a proud part of what makes Western Oregon such a unique place to be. With nonstop routes that connect to hundreds of destinations, fly local, fly EUG.
In the heart of the South Willamette Valley, just 12 miles southwest of Eugene, distinctive handcrafted wines are waiting for you at Sylvan Ridge Winery. Sylvan Ridge Wines bring unassuming, casual elegance to your homes, tables, and celebrations, and are best paired with the mainstays of a social gathering: good food, fond friends, and lively conversation. Discover our wines by visiting our tasting room. For a list of events or to plan your visit, go to sylvanridge.com. Proud partners of the Oregon Ducks.
Since 1961, Comfort Flow Heating has provided service to more than 50,000 homes and businesses in the Willamette Valley. While the technology and techniques in our industry have changed, our founding principles have remained the same: to provide exceptional service in all areas of our business and for our customers to enjoy their products from us and be comfortable for years to come.
From all of us at Comfort Flow, thank you for choosing us.
Go Ducks!
You're watching Talkin Ducks, built by Parr Lumber. Pop the cork and let's have a toast, brought to you by Sylvan Ridge Winery, proud partners of the Oregon Ducks, and we are toasting to Oregon's dominance over the Huskies. The Ducks winning 14 of the last 16 matchups against Washington. They've won the last 2 in a row on top of that. So the Huskies, who were trying to reverse the curse and take the tide in this rivalry, have not been able to do so over the last 2 years. And with that, we head into our Victory Road, presented by Capital Toyota in Salem. Your way on the Parkway. And let's start with you, Mr. Harrington. The Ducks on the road, heading up north to Seattle. Weather should be a little chilly, a little wet. This is a big-time matchup for Oregon and a game they got to get. What do you need to see from the Ducks?
Exactly what you saw last week. Just continued improvement. You want to see Kayvon Thibodeau dominating again like he did against UCLA. But as long, like Aaron said it just a minute ago, as long as you have Anthony Brown continuing to play the way that he is, he just makes everybody else around him better, allows everybody else to do the things that we've seen him do. And you know, I think you're cutting it a little bit short, Jordan, because let's go back to the pick of 94, and the 20 years following that, Oregon was actually 17-3 against Washington. So if you add that, what is it, like, you know, you put that all together with your stat,
31-5.
163 out of the last 164 games, something like that. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Anthony, what do the Ducks need to pack in their bags when they head up north on I-5? What do they need to do in order to be successful?
Well, it's always a battle going against the Huskies, or the Puppies. Oh, excuse me, the Huskies. These guys, they can play when they play against the Ducks. They want to beat the Ducks. But if you see the Ducks start fast, finish strong, don't beat themselves, they're hard to beat. And I don't care. Jimmy Lake's doing a great job up there in Washington with the team that, you know, just kind of that changeover. And he's struggling a little bit. It's going to take some time to turn that thing around. But you can't give Washington any light. And so Oregon has to come to play. They have to understand that Washington's coming for them, and they have nothing to lose. You know, you got this dog backed into a corner, so you got to be careful. But if Oregon plays the way they can, there shouldn't be a problem at all. And for me, you know, when I was playing against Washington, I only beat them once, and that was my senior year. You know, 1987, they were ranked 16th in the country, and we beat them 29-22. So that, you know, that was a big win for me. But now seeing Oregon dominate these guys, they need to keep dominating these guys and into the future.
Aaron, what's the key in this one?
First of all, I pride myself in being objective, which means some Duck fans think I'm a hater, which I'm not. But when I see Washington Husky fans on Twitter talking trash to Oregon, I just can't help it because it's just so ludicrous. And I jump in.
But they won a title in 91,
because
Aaron.
Oregon owns Washington.
They had that shared
They've owned
title.
them since I've been paying attention to these two programs. And of the two losses you mentioned, one happened when Herbert was out and they had to go up to Washington with Braxton Burmeister. But anyway, the key to this game is this. Washington does have a really good defense. They're only giving up like 18 points per game. When you have a good defense and you can't score, the only way you can win is to muddy it up and force turnovers. If Oregon doesn't turn the ball over, they're going to score enough points to win because Washington can't score. You only need like 27 to assure a victory against this team. So go up there, take care of the football, let your defense do its thing against Washington's offense, because guess what? Oregon is going to force turnovers or give the offense great field position so you can get to 27, 30 points, and then Washington has no chance to match you unless you cough up the ball all over the place. So for me, it's kind of a cliche. Just don't turn over the ball a lot, and you'll be A-okay.
With you 100%, Aaron. Joey, the last two road conference games for the Ducks have been UCLA and Stanford. Not the best of starts. It's cliche, but it feels like Oregon has to get off to a good start in this game to really set the tone against the Huskies.
Sure, maybe. You know,
they were down 14-0 against UCLA.
You know, exactly. They started slow. Were they down 14-0 to start that one, and you go ahead and win? I don't know. Hold on. Let me flip it.
This is what's scary. What was I just talking about earlier? If I had bet $1,000 on the money line for the dog all season long, I'd be rich. So that's the only thing that's scary, is that it's the Pac-12 and anything can happen, but I would be shocked if Oregon lost this game.
What he said.
Yeah, I'm with you guys too. It feels like Oregon has just got too much offense, and that's the thing that's really been missing for Washington this year is their capability to score the football. This is the team that lost to Montana earlier in the season. They are playing better, and this is a rivalry game, and you never know what can happen on the road. So to that point, Aaron, I think you have to control the turnovers, limit the penalties, do those things that make coaches happy when they watch the game film. Just play error-free football to the best of your capabilities, and I think Oregon takes care of business in this one against Washington. That'll do it for this edition of Talkin Ducks, fellas. Always great to catch up with you. Don't forget, next week we'll be coming your way. We'll break down the matchup against Washington and also set the stage. The Ducks hosting a very scrappy Cougar team coming into Autzen Stadium. From all of us here, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Kenny Whitten on the interception! The most improbable finish to a